Hello? Okay. Think we're good.
All right, good. Awesome to see a whole bunch of people here. Welcome to our virtual movie discussion. Today we're going to discuss the 1942 classic film Casablanca. I am one of your hosts today. I am Karen Wisely. I teach history at the Northeast campus at TCC. I am joined by
Hi, I am Chloe Northrup. I am at Connect campus. I teach history as well.
And I'm Samantha Elkins, and I am at Northeast Campus, and I also teach history.
Okay, our custom when doing one of these events is to start with a little introduction where I read the log line or brief description of the movie and then go over some of the main cast members and where you may have seen them before. So, the log line for Casablanca. Rick Blaine, a cynical expatriate American who owns a nightclub in Casablanca, discovers his old flame, Ilsa, is in town with her husband, Victor Laszlo. Laszlo is a famed rebel, and with Germans on his tail, Ilsa knows Rick can help them escape the Nazis in French Morocco and get out of the country. It stars. Look, normally I run through the cast where you might have seen them before, but I'm going to do something a little bit different this time because the entire cast is dead and has been for a long time. The last cast member died in 2016 and she was 92 years old when she passed. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of us have not seen a whole lot of movies with these folks in them, but there are a few people that need to be mentioned. So, first, Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine. Humphrey Bogart died in 1957 at the age of 57, which is very, very young. Um, he was a great actor. He was nominated for 3 Academy Awards for Best Actor in a Leading Role. For this film in 1944, for The African Queen in 1952, and The Caine Mutiny in 1955. He won the Oscar in 1952 for African Queen. He and his wife, Lauren Bacall, um, joined other actors in protesting the House Un American Activities Committee investigation into Hollywood. So he was not a very popular guy in Hollywood for a few years. And that African Queen movie was the thing that really put him back at the top. The second person, Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa Lund. She died in 1982 at the age of 67, and she was one of the greatest actresses of all time. She was nominated 7 times for Academy Awards and won 3 times for Best Actress in a Leading Role in 1945 for Gaslight, for Best Actress in a Leading Role in 1957 in Anastasia, and for Best Actress in a Supporting Role in 1975 for Murder on the Orient Express. Those 3 wins ties her for second in Oscars behind Katharine Hepburn's 4. She is tied with Meryl Streep and Frances McDormand. She was born in Sweden and was fluent in English, Swedish, French, German, and Italian, and so freaking gorgeous. I mean, she was so beautiful. Um, just super talented, super wonderful, great actress. The last one I'm going to mention here really is Claude Rains as Captain Louis Renault. He died in 1967 at the age of 77. He was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including for this picture, but never won one. I thought this was interesting, was married 6 times. He served in World War One for a Scottish regiment and was almost blind in one eye because of an injury he received in a gas attack. Um, Paul Henreid as Victor Laszlo, Conrad Veidt as Major Heinrich Strasser, Peter Lorre as Ugarte, and S.Z. Sokol as Karl the waiter, and many others were born in countries that were occupied by the Nazis and fled those countries to escape persecution. So a lot of the cast was made up of particularly Jewish people who had escaped occupied Europe. Casablanca was released in the United States on January 23rd, 1943, and directed by Michael Curtiz. Uh, it was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, and it won 3 for Best Writing Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture. Casablanca is generally included in lists of the top movies ever made. On the American Film Institute's top 100, it is either number 2 or number 3, depending on what year you look at it, behind Citizen Kane and sometimes Godfather, which is interesting. And and it also is known for some pretty good quotes that are high on the all-time quote list. So it is a Hollywood classic. Its running time is 1 hour and 42 minutes, which, man, that's short. And
especially for the time, right?
yeah, I mean, I noticed it. I like about an hour and 20 minutes into it, I was like, wait a minute, how much longer is there? Because it feels like they're getting to the end really fast. And sure enough, there was only 20 minutes left. I was like, oh man. So very reasonable time, amount of time, and just an excellent film, I felt. So anybody want to give your impressions of it? I know, Chloe, you texted me and said it was amazing, and it is, and you forget about it sometimes
Yeah.
because I hadn't watched it in a while, and
It's been one of my favorite movies forever. And so it was fun to rewatch it again. And it's one of those movies that I loved when I was younger. And then some of those movies, when you see again, you're like, oh, why did I like this so much? Like, I'm kind of embarrassed for myself. But watching it again this time, I'm like, no, this is still an excellent movie. And some of the movies get incredibly dated. And we've even seen that, like, even in the last, like, 30 years, that some of the movies seem far cringier than this, that I feel like has held up excellently. And I was like not embarrassed with my younger self for loving it. But I did think differently this time in some ways that I would love to explore all with you a little bit more than when I was younger. I mean, when I was younger, I was like, why didn't she run away with Humphrey Bogart? And now I'm kind of like, well, yeah, like,
yeah, she made the right choice.
yeah, that's the Harry Met Sally that I kept thinking about there, like he gives us a complete 180 about talking about that. And he's like, I would never, so it just made me, other movies invoke then these storylines as well. So I definitely enjoyed watching it again. And I feel like it has such interesting themes. See, I think when I watched it when I was younger, I felt like it had come out much later, and it's about those early years of World War II. And I find it fascinating that it came out when it did, and I'm excited to talk more about that because I feel like it was incredibly political at the time, and like Humphrey Bogart having such a stand-in for so many things that I found that part really interesting to like think about it again while watching it now.
Same.
No, I'm with you there completely, Chloe, because the last time I watched this film from beginning to end was, weirdly enough, in my theater and film appreciation class during undergraduate.
Yeah.
And I just I've watched parts of it since then, but I was like, man, I love this movie. I need to watch this movie. And I'm like, I forgot how good this movie is.
Mm-hmm.
And it has this very timeless quality, and I think some of it's because it's a war movie, and you could not set this, like I was talking about it with my husband because we were watching it together, and we were laughing. You couldn't set it in any other like war, really. Like, it is a World War II movie, but at the same time, it's so like the themes of it are so timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Those themes of, like, I was looking up stuff about like sacrifice, and also that idea of like going from the sidelines and joining in the fight.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I forgot how funny it was.
It is. It has a lot of like good zingers. I mean, the cat, like, obviously the police captain has all of the best lines in the movie, I feel. I mean, so many of them are just excellent. I mean, the one part where they're like, "There's gambling here," and he's like, "You're winning." He's like, "Thank you." And like, like just like the open corruptness of it. Like, I feel like you can respect him in a way that if he had pretended to be something differently, you might have been like, "Oh, that guy." But he's just so openly corrupt that you kind of have to just laugh. And I think that like for Americans, like, oh, it's so French, to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's definitely my favorite moment when he hands him the winnings. That was great.
I'm shocked, I tell you, to find out there's gambling going on here.
Well, and just the banter between the Rick and Louis.
Yeah.
They had just such quick back and forth. I was like, I found myself like, I remember it like when I was in undergraduate, like being like more sad, like, oh, it's bittersweet, the ending. And I don't know if I liked that she left with her husband. And now I was like, yeah, she should definitely leave with the husband.
That's how
before I thought he was dead.
But I think so. Like when I watched it before, I don't think I was married yet, maybe. And I kept like younger and stuff. And I'm thinking like, oh, Live on the Run with Humphrey Bogart. And now I'm like, okay, you had like one good week with him in Paris. You don't know this person. Like,
It was realizing it like it's such a much more shallow relationship with Humphrey Bogart.
Like she's obviously like mourning and like, has some fun, but then she's like, okay, I gotta like go back to my life. So I felt like that was in a way really interesting watching it again. But also it made me wonder if she, this time in a way that I hadn't before, is when she goes back to him, is she just manipulating him because she knows that she can get him in a way? And it made me question in a way I never had before, if she knew kind of that if she did the right things, he would do the right things too. Do you think she actually wanted to leave with him on that plane that night? If he would have been like, she'd be like, really? I don't know. And I kind of wondered it in a way that I hadn't before. What do you guys think?
I think that it's the classic, like, love versus lust kind of thing. And that there was some definite fire and passion between her and Rick that there wasn't between her and Laszlo. They had like a solid connection. They believed in the same things. They wanted the same things and all of that. And that's a good love connection, but there's no denying that there was passion between her and Rick. And if you have to decide, I mean, for a minute you might think, yeah, passion, I can't live without passion or whatever. But ultimately, the smart thing, the wise decision, the adult decision is to go with long-term love. And she, does that, but I can see where there might be a few minutes, especially, because he was not particularly attentive, right? I mean, Laszlo was leaving every night to go to meetings and all of these kind of things, and Rick, he was more attentive, more.
You could tell the passion when he's drinking and like he says those mean things to her and stuff. She's like, ooh, at least he cares.
Yeah. So, I mean, but not that Laszlo didn't have passion, but his passion was more like patriotism. And so they shared that passion, certainly. But
I remember last time I watched this film feeling like Laszlo was just kind of dull. And this time around watching it, I was like, no, he's super dedicated to his cause, but he's also super dedicated to her, because it talks about there's several times he could have left her behind and he acted like, oh yeah, I totally would have left you behind. But like he never did, let's be honest.
But she said I was sick for 2 weeks in like Marseille, I think. I was like, that's a long time. Like that is what illness is getting you down for 2 weeks? Gracious me. And then like, I was thinking like, I mean, but also she did mention that they met when she was very young too. And so, I mean, maybe like her opportunity with Rick, he knew her as a woman, whereas Laszlo had known her younger, and like maybe there were, he loved her and they had this thing, but maybe her and Rick just had like this little connection in a way that was like spicy, But do you want spicy food every day for the rest of your life? Yeah, probably not. Right?
I mean, you're gonna have heartburn. I mean, eventually it's gonna give you heartburn.
Exactly. So I
It's
feel
nice
like
in your 20s, but after that,
yeah, and I think when I was younger watching this, I was like, no, be on the run with Rick forever. And it's like now that I watch this time, I'm like, no, stay with your husband. Like he helped you for 2 weeks. I don't know, would Rick, maybe he would. But like, yeah, all of that
and
was
that's the funny thing is I found myself more invested in the bromance between Rick and Louis than the romance, weirdly enough, this time around. Partly because I know what's going to happen.
Right. Now,
but the banter and
all the banter between all of them is all just golden, and it's still super relative, like relevant now in a way that, again, like some of the movies we've seen even from the last 20 or 30 years have been cringy to like the way they're talking about women, and I think maybe this could be perhaps like kind of cringy in a way, but it's so like the exploitation of like women in that one scene, like the young girl who is talking about like is he, and then in the end it doesn't happen, like Rick's kind of saves her, and like he's like, don't do it again though, and so I feel like we don't maybe see that darker side in a way of some of those things, but also, I mean, Ilsa is a great character even back then. Like she's a really believable character. She does. I mean, this wouldn't pass the Bechdel test either, though, would it? Another one of her movies that would not. But I still think like she's a great character. She's not a super. Like she pulls the gun on Rick. Like, give me those passwords. I'm like, yes, girl. Like, get those passwords. And she's like, I played nice, but I'm not anymore. Yeah. I don't know. I like her, she's a good character, and she's impeccably dressed the whole time too. Like, how are you on the run all this time and yet your suits are like immaculate, like designer? It looks like you're like head to toe Chanel.
Well, and the perfect curls.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
yeah. Right. No, it's a plot. Yeah. And you know what's funny is she's a very popular meme still. If you see with the person who goes to the record and then smashes it, that is, and I think that might be from Gaslight. I'm not entirely sure, but I see that meme all the time. Like, I don't know, people posting like when Beyonce, this ain't Texas, and then someone, or any song someone doesn't like, you see that coming up. And so it's funny, she's still around with us today.
Yeah. But probably a lot of people don't know who she is. I mean, that's, that seems right, I was shocked. I guess I don't, that you have these meetings and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be in town and all of this, and then he just shows up at the bar, waltzing in under his own name, and it's like, so it's a that was a little bit shocking to me. Like I expected, like I think that the movies of today have ruined me, I guess is what I would say. And
the fact that everyone knows who he is, he's not getting arrested, all of that.
Yeah. And they're just gonna let him stay in Morocco and not ever get to America, because if he just stays there, he's less dangerous than if they let him go.
But then they started saying that isn't the case. Maybe we need to get rid of him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or send him back to Vichy where he could then get. So can you help unravel why Morocco? Why Casablanca? How is this different than being in occupied France? How is this different, or Vichy, how is this different than being occupied? What does this all mean at this time in 1940? Is this movie set in 1942? No, I'm
it's set in 1941, December 1941.
Okay. And it comes out, this is almost like a documentary or something.
Yeah. And it comes out in 43.
Oh,
so we're still in the midst of the war, and we're not even sure yet who's going to win.
Yeah.
in
But
43.
But they specifically also did a short release of it in 1941 to coincide with something. I can't remember what. But then I know that they specifically released it in 1943 to coincide with the Casablanca Conference when FDR and Chamberlain, oh my gosh, Churchill, oh my gosh, my brain, both were in Casablanca because they knew then it would get more views in the theater.
Mm-hmm. Just to answer a couple of questions in the chat. No, you don't have to watch it in order to. We are going to ruin it for you. I mean, we won't ruin it. We're going to spoil it for you. That's the word, spoil. And no, it's not based on true story. It is eerily historically accurate, but it isn't true. The plot is fictional. Those people didn't exist. There was no Rick's Cafe. And Victor Laszlo didn't exist. There was no Ilsa Lund. And the general plot line is that you have to get to if you are escaping from Nazi occupied territory. That you have to leave to go to America through the port of Lisbon, which is in Portugal. And the way to get to Lisbon was difficult. So you would have to go through Spain, which was not a part of the war, but it had its own difficulties, and it did have a fascist dictator in charge. So the odds of getting through there is not great. Or you could go across the Mediterranean, across the northern part of Africa to Casablanca, get a plane to Lisbon, and then from Lisbon be able to go to the United States. So Casablanca was like this way station in the escape route of European people who were trying to escape Nazism, and there were only limited people who were allowed out of Casablanca. And so you sometimes when you would get there, you would have to wait and wait and wait and wait. There were very few visas that were given, and there it was very corrupt the way that they did it. A lot of time you could pay your way, but if you didn't have money, you might be stuck there waiting for a long time. Rick Blaine was an American, an expat who apparently couldn't go back to America.
They never said why, though.
We're never told why. And he had a bar / casino. It was a underground casino, although it was very not very underground. The corruption was very upfront in Morocco, and apparently that was pretty spot on. Historically, there were a lot of people who were buying their way out of occupied Europe, and the less fortunate had to resort to different ways. So that's the general theme of this. Ilsa and her husband was a great leader of the resistance, who had been in a Nazi concentration camp. He escaped several times, escaped being rearrested several times, and was trying to make it to America where he could drum up support for the resistance. And mind you that this is before Pearl Harbor, so America wasn't yet involved in the war. So yeah, that's the general theme of it. There was a previous relationship between Ilsa and Rick that she is playing on. I think that gives you just a general overview of it. So not a true story. It is a great movie. It's generally considered to be one of the top 5 in all of movie history. So if you can go see it, it is available on Swank Video. What is it? Swank Video Campus, or what is it? Swank
Digital Campus. If you go to the library website and then scroll down through the alphabetical databases, go to Swank, And yes, it's SWANK.
And
You'll be able to
I
get
watched it on Max as well. It's on there if you have
Yeah,
Max.
it is on Max. Or you can rent it like my sister did for me last night for $3.99 on Prime. She couldn't
I
get
did just
Max
look
to
it up.
work.
The whole thing is when this movie was released, they specifically released it a few weeks earlier, in the very end of 42, because that way it could coincide with the Allied invasion, the actual Allied invasion, historically speaking, of Northern Africa.
Mhm.
And so they could get them out at the same time. And then it was released worldwide at the same time as the Casablanca conference. And they also very much were wanting to play on that whole Casablanca, White House, obviously, and the Americans and everything with that. And I had a lot of fun with that. I was like, oh, I never really thought about that, but that's really like on the nose.
Yeah,
Interesting.
kind of. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the character of Rick is a great metaphor for Americans in general. At the, I stick my neck out for no one. No, yeah, he's how many times I stick my neck out for nobody. Is that not maybe perhaps how many people were looking at Americans in the early 40s when times were difficult during the Blitz
Yeah.
and all of that. And I think like when I watched this movie before, I wasn't seeing some of those maybe subtle undertones in a way that I feel like was a lot stronger now. And especially at the end with that resolve, like, no, like Vichy France and America, we're coming together. When he throws that bottle of Vichy water, he's like, no, free France.
Yeah.
And in America, we're going to join hands together and go do something. And I thought, like, oh, look at this. This is, I think, and again, the line, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Oh man, oh my gosh. I have to tell you guys, I was looking up stuff about that, and apparently that was dubbed in after the movie had already been filmed. And they had 3 different lines they were choosing from, and thank goodness they went with that line. Because one of
the other
them
lines
was the
were terrible.
oh man, one was so awkward and wordy, and I was like, man, this sounds like one of my emails that I sent. Like, oh, it was awful. And the other one was just like, it wasn't quite as snappy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, it's so interesting how much of this movie was done kind of on the fly, and yet it becomes this huge classic.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to say at some point, seeing someone of all the gin joints in all the world, you had to walk into this one. It's like that's such a. I hope someday to like be able to say that. Yeah, it's just like I take a drink and be like, "Here's looking at you, kid."
Well, and that's one of those lines too that Humphrey Bogart, originally the line was slightly different, and he just adjusted it. And it sounds once again so much better than what the original script that they wrote down that was kind of wordy. And so I'm gonna have to find this actual line and read it for you because it's awful.
Well, I kind of reminds me because Lauren Bacall was much younger than him. Someone did he say this line to his wife? She was notoriously much younger than him.
She was 15 years younger than him. And that's a little like, ooh, oh.
Yeah. And so when he says that line, I was like, is that the first time he said it? He's like, hey, he's like, guys, I've got the best line for this.
No. I definitely think it's in his repertoire.
It just rolled off the tongue the whole way too easy. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Look, another thing that kind of struck me about this, and this is going to be very surface level and very, I'm shallow right now, but good God, the smoking.
Yes. I notice it so much more now, I feel, in movies, because you just hardly ever see smoking depicted in movies. But everyone is smoking all the time.
Yeah. There's like a haze over the room. There's so much smoke. Everyone is smoking constantly while they're walking around, while he's playing piano, while everything.
They're like talking with a cigarette in their mouth, like dangling there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're going to drop it.
Yeah. No, that is that. God,
It
I'm
was,
looking up, by the way, how old Lauren Bacall was when they got married, and it says that she was 23. So that's
yeah.
not
I mean,
as
yeah.
young
Oh,
as
I'm
I
sorry.
thought.
I misheard.
Yes, but how old
It's
was he? 40 something or 30?
I thought she was 19 when they got together. Maybe that's how old they were when they first got together.
When they
She
first met.
sorry, she was 20, he was 45.
okay.
It's actually
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
doing Humphrey Bogart and oh my gosh, her name just escaped me. The love interest.
oh, Ilsa.
Elsa. Yeah. No, they have a 15-year difference, but that's embarrassing to realize that's a smaller difference than.
They were married until his death in 1957. Yeah.
Oh,
There
okay.
you
At least
there you
that's
go.
nice.
There you have
yeah,
it.
they had 2
So
kids.
yeah,
Yeah, he was
but that's
married
it.
like 4 times, and
But he's just waiting for Lloyd. See, she when he first started, she wasn't born yet, so I had to wait for her to marry another 3 to. Just kidding. Oh, and then Bacall had a relationship with Frank Sinatra. Look at that. What a life. And she only died 10 years ago. So yes. But so in like nowadays when they smoke in films, it's like fake cigarettes, right? They're not
yeah,
real. And back
right.
then they're smoking real things, surely. So those actors are all, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine. Yeah, I mean, even that, I think it was frowned. I think this relationship, Christina, it was normal to be someone younger. I think to be even this age difference, I think made people like, ooh, because I think she was so young when it first happened.
Let's be honest, we always like to read about a scandal in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
so
I mean, there were a bunch of them, so that's yeah, yeah. If you are look, I don't normally like shill for other podcasts, but here there's a Hollywood, early Hollywood podcast called You Must Remember This, and it talks about the golden age of Hollywood is what they call it. So like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. Yeah. It's amazing because there is a lot of stuff going on. And it's very interesting and a well done podcast. So it's if you have any interest in learning more about old Hollywood, I recommend that podcast to you. It's
can you
very
write that in the chat too, Karen,
yeah,
so we can all get the name just in case?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Thank you.
by the way, I just did a little quick Google search, and I think it was more scandalous because she was 19 when they first started dating, and yet there is that age difference. But also, he was still married to his third wife. So, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think
because
that
they
was
got married like 3 weeks after the divorce was final.
I think, yeah, there is like some scandal. By the way, the songs are still hit so well in this as well. I liked as well. So my husband and I enjoy when we are on a cruise, we have a whole friend group and we go to hear this at the piano and the piano and everything, and they sing and everyone's singing and they have a really fun time. And when he was doing that and the whole crowd is singing back and forth, it reminded me of this and how it's still something. So I don't know if anybody ever goes like a dueling piano or anything like that. The fact that that was something that they're doing there just made me happy to see that. I have really good memories. And so when he's like, who has trouble? And the whole crowd's like, we have trouble. And I'm like, we need to like bring that song back because I actually like really love that one. But then, oh, when she's like, play it, Sam, just like the old times. Yes. Now, the use of music in this is obviously incredibly poignant and none so much as during the talk about dueling, the time when the German sits down at the piano and sings and then the crowd starts singing Marseillaise. And I find myself getting emotional during that. I don't know if anybody else watched this movie here, but I find myself getting choked up with like the power of music, the power of people coming together in these moments, but also that your country is hurting and you're singing this in a form of like protest and hope and all those things. I don't know if anyone else felt as moved by that scene.
And I was reading, because I do that, that some of the actors during that scene, because it did close-ups on them, and some of them had tears in their eyes, and part of the reason for that is because many of the actors and actresses in that movie, outside of the big three stars, were Europeans who had escaped the Nazis, and so it was real, true emotion in their eyes whenever they were singing that song. So especially that last one who says, what does she say? Vive la France,
Yeah.
or yeah, and she's a French lady, and I think she was the last cast member who died in 2016 at 92. So it's
The one
yeah.
who was had the hots for Rick and he couldn't be
Yeah.
bothered.
Could not be bothered. Yeah.
And I love when he tells the bartender guy, like, take her home. Come straight back. He's like, yes, boss. That's yeah. But like, he's acting all callous, but he still like wants her to make sure that she's getting home, get her, so you can tell he's kind of a little bit of a softie, even though. But yeah, no, the film I think will touch you. I hope it does. And I do wonder, did someone in here think could it be remade? I don't think it could. Oh, how does it end? And you'll have to watch that part.
Wow, we didn't spoil that?
I think we kind of did spoil it.
I think we
little
did.
bit. But yeah, so do you think that this movie could get remade now?
No.
No.
And in fact, I was reading where they had taken the plot and did a what do you call it when they pitch to people, the funding people today, and there were a couple who recognized it for what it was, but many of them didn't, because Casablanca and a lot of these really big, like Citizen Kane and all of these other, big important movies, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I've seen them, but they never have, so they don't really know what the entire plot is. So they pitched the plot of it to the people who fund movies today, and overwhelmingly they were like, not enough sex, not enough action, too much politics, and all of this kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's a lot of politics, but that's what needed to happen in 1943.
Well, and what's so interesting about it is in 1943, it's so political. And I don't think it could happen because those actors were just so connected with World War II. And like you said, like everybody in it, like singing the song, they're tearing up and stuff because they all came together realizing they were all refugees in this moment while they're filming the movie. Like you can't go back and rearrange that, you know what I mean? Now, like we wouldn't have the same connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and oh my gosh, yeah, no.
Maybe if we wait a few years, we will.
Yeah, but the thing is, having a character like Rick, who's kind of acting like this Lone Ranger out there, but really has this whole, network and connections with people. And yes, I think I want to, exactly, I want to know what happens with Sam. He did apparently get a raise, when they saw the bar at the end. Yeah. I believe the original. I agree. I don't think that they should even try. No, I don't want to see any of these people. What are they going to do? Get some person to be Ilsa? No, thank you. I don't need that. I was about to say something, but someone in here would get offended. Like, I love her. She's amazing. She's a great actress. She could do better. And I would be like, yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, no, I don't think that they need to remake. But there's something Hollywood loves doing is remaking movies. So I wonder if they did, I think it would be far sexier. They would be like those flashback scenes in Paris. Woo!
It would be a longer movie because they'd spend a lot more time on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and those flashback scenes, like the Nazis came in, you wore blue, and then suddenly that blue dress would be like on the floor.
They would show it on the floor. And then...
Yeah.
Which I do have to point out, I looked up stuff, and one of the complaints I found was that then in the actual flashback, when the Nazis come in, she's not wearing a dress. So she wasn't wearing a blue dress.
You know, it's funny how memory, though. That's a great question. Can we trust our own memories, especially with our exes?
We'll
No,
always
we
have
cannot, in
parents.
fact. Yeah.
Oh, yes. But see, that's the thing. Did he make up more than maybe even how it was? And also, can we just like get to that moment where he's like saying, like, let's get married? And she's like sobbing. He's like, he didn't say, like, are you all right? Like, is everything okay with you? And so I feel like he was very oblivious. And like he's all smiling and happy in those flashbacks and stuff. And I kind of like wanted to tell Rick, like, oh gosh, Leonardo DiCaprio's Humphrey Bogart. I could, yeah, I see it. I see them doing that. So yeah, but I think like Rick did not, he was not reading the room there. She was not okay. And he was just like acting like it's all fine. No wonder she felt like she couldn't tell him and had to write him that letter. I'm sorry. Yeah. It kind of, that letter reminded me, if any of Sex and the City fans, like, I'm sorry, I can't, the post-it when nobody in here, she gets dumped on a post-it. It's a good one. But Belle, and I'm seeing you can plant false memories into ourselves, big reasons, exactly what eyewitness testimonies. You know, I think maybe Rick had those rose-colored glasses about that time. I mean, it's pre-Nazis invading Paris. You know, he's in love. They're probably like strolling on the Seine and eating bread, and like everything's great. And like, oh wait, no, it's not. And also he was drinking a copious amount because he did not want the Germans to get his champagne. So can he trust his memories from then? I am not sure. Another question from in here. I've noticed a lot of modern movies are inspired by classics and carry lots of elements and plot points. Do you know any modern pieces that may be heavily inspired by Casablanca? That's a great question.
Yeah, and I just said off the top of my head, I can't think of any movies right this minute, but I know that there are a lot of movies that do that passion versus stability kind of uh, conflict in people. And weirdly, maybe not weirdly, it seems like it's usually women who have to cope with that kind of conflict, you know, whether I'm going to do the smart thing and you know, stay with this the the stability, the security, or I'm going to do the foolish thing and go off with the, you know, the passion
The
thing.
cameraman that comes to take pictures of covered bridges in Madison County, you mean?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yeah.
a similar thing. You're gripping that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to run back to that truck behind you, Meryl
Uh-huh.
Streep?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I feel like, but it's the same kind of almost, like there's
Yeah.
a similar elements of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in so many movies. I mean, you know, even The Notebook. And you know, like any time that you have that kind of stability versus passion, I think is security. Yeah. So I would say that it's been it has been they play that out a lot in modern movies. I don't know as far as like the movie and that kind of or the you know, politics and all of that anything has done any justice to that, but the basic romance story of you know, Laszlo versus Rick has been done quite a bit, I would
Woman
say.
thinks her husband is dead, has a passionate love affair, finds
Well,
out he wasn't dead.
I
It's an
mean,
age-old story.
who among us hasn't? I mean,
Hasn't had these moments.
I was going to say
Yeah.
regarding politics, though, you could make the argument that some of the movies we've done actually in these discussions have made just commentary on modern politics, even when depicting something from 30 years earlier. And I think that's the biggest difference is this is depicting something that is happening right, like literally the year before while it's coming out.
I think we're so divided as a nation. There's hardly anything as controversial that's going on that could be a movie that a lot of people would go and enjoy, because I feel like this country, I mean, it's pretty overt. Like it is obviously subtly, if not not even subtly, it is overtly for the Allied cause, right? And I think nowadays in a situation or anything, I mean, just whatever you have off the top of your head that's going on in this world right now, think of Gaza or Ukraine or anywhere in this world that there's something controversial. I don't think that they could make a movie that people would rally behind the way that they do Casablanca, because as a nation, we just have so, I think, like more divisions and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Someone else might be like, no, everyone would come together for this cause or that cause. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind this movie comes out after Pearl Harbor, and that's such a rallying moment for Americans that all America really is starting. Obviously, not everybody is for like invading and everything like that, but they're definitely coming together a lot more. And this is, on some level, propaganda. Like how I was curious watching it, how much do you think the propaganda within it, because they have so many rewrites. They don't finish writing this script until 2 months into filming it.
Well, things are changing too, I would bet.
Yeah. So how much do you think they were really focusing this on being propaganda versus a hit movie that made a lot of money?
Do you think, do you think that they knew they were making a classic while they were doing it? Or do you think that they just kind of wanted to get a message out?
I don't know. Like,
I think they wanted to.
Sure, yeah. Let's go with that question. That's a better question.
That is a good question. And they were doing a lot of propaganda in Hollywood at that time, in that time period. So, but I think that the studio moguls are always looking to make money. I mean, more important than anything.
And Humphrey Bogart's a big star. You got a big star on it.
Yeah. You got two very big stars.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that they wanted to make money. I think maybe the people, because the director also was one of those fellows that came from Europe, occupied Europe, and the guy that wrote it, they said that he had traveled through Europe in the late 1930s when things were starting to get real. And so that's where the story came from, was people were trying to organize and get the heck out of there. So, maybe they had an idea that they wanted it more propaganda, and the studios were like, just whatever, get it out because we want to make money, So I think it could have been a little bit of both, because yeah. No, I don't think they thought it would become this popular and this great of a movie, but I think that they knew that they had Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart, and if you put those two on a screen just talking to each other, people are going to go and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we have another question. Was Ilsa's husband aware of her past with Rick? Yeah, because I think like when they first come up and he sits down and he already knows her, I'd be like, oh, how do you two know each other? Like, oh, we're like, okay, again, of all the gin joints in the world, how do you two know each other? Oh, we met in Paris. Oh, when you thought I was dead, and like, wow, what happened?
I mean, more. I think that didn't she say that they met in Paris, and he's like, oh, that's that's nice,
interesting.
But she didn't quite let on to the level that they met in Paris. One could probably assume by Rick's response, maybe that.
Yeah.
But she was being pretty cool about it.
He does say at one point, like, you thought I was dead. I don't really need to know either. And that's the thing too. They don't make him out to be like some kind of like jerk to her. Like, oh, can't believe you 2 times. Like, Rick is mean to her. Like, when he's drinking and he's drunk that night and she goes back, he was not nice. But her husband never said anything, and kind of, he's like, hey, things happen. But maybe she wanted him to like get a little upset. Maybe, I don't know. Now you'll never know.
I was gonna say the husband is like the ultimate good guy, but also like by being the ultimate good guy and understanding of everything, it really does hone in on that, like, the lack of passion. Like, you don't even see them kiss.
kind of a little
The whole
boring.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I know it. Her and Rick have some good kisses.
they do.
too.
Yeah, they certainly do. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, but again, this is the debate in Harry Met Sally. They talk about this a lot in there. So yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, please go watch that now. And I think you can see how it this movie continues to be relevant. Except for it won't if you are watching When Harry Met Sally, they talk about it being on TV and they're going to turn on and like watch it. So here for our students, back in the day, if you wanted to see a movie and you didn't have it like on VHS or it just would become on TV, you would like just start it in the middle and then you would just like you'd be flipping the channels and a movie I like is on and you might not have seen the beginning of it and then there was like commercials all the way through still. So and I know that you're probably like, go to bed, grandma, like that never no, it did. And so they actually like watch it together on TV telling each other what channel it's on. And so, yeah, it's something that you can hardly imagine. Like, we all watch movies together for this here, but we all separately just streamed it at our own leisure. So things are definitely changing. And yet, we're still watching Casablanca. See,
I feel like that there were a lot of movies that I went years before I saw the actual beginnings of.
Yeah. Because you just happen to see. And
Yeah, because
it's funny
you're
how
just
you
like
haven't seen the same part of a
flipping through
movie.
channels, and then you're like, let's see what this is. But
Well,
you've
and
already
then
missed
you
the
have,
very
like,
beginning of it. It's like
My dad likes to change the channel during the commercial breaks because we also, back in the day, had to have mandatory commercial breaks. We didn't get to fast forward or skip or anything. Just explaining to all those youngins, apparently. And so my dad would change the channel. And so I can tell you there are so many movies that I have seen somewhere between a third and 2/3. Because we were flipping back and forth between 3 different things at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew how that ended. And I'm like, I wish I knew how this began.
Right. And you didn't have, and also students, you couldn't just Google it either. You just had to wonder. You just had to sit there and wonder what was the beginning of this movie. And if you
so the
didn't
next time
know,
you happened upon it, yeah.
and if you didn't know, like, where have I seen this person? You just wondered for the rest of your life.
Yes. Or you just talk to other people about it and like, hey.
And then maybe it came to you if you're flipping again another day and you see them on screen in another movie. And you're like, that's where I saw them. These are just things that like these conveniences we have now. Yes. So any other questions in this chat? Did anyone in here watch the movie is my question. Any of our students here today?
I think a few of them have because
did watch the movie. And what did you think? Is this a movie that, so I'm a millennial. Samantha, you are?
I'm solid millennial.
Oh, millennial. So there any Gen Zers in here? I would love to see because there are a lot of differing. I mean, Karen, you are.
Why didn't you ask me?
Okay, you are Gen X all the way, and so we both enjoyed it being these. But Gen Z is another animal, if you will, or whatever we're going to call this. And so I'm wondering, is this something that's still hitting with you? I was going to use some of the cool slang from Gen Z, but my niece told me please not to, that it isn't very significant. So then is this still slapping?
Don't even try. Is it still good?
Today, did you still enjoy it, or did you, as in another generation, think like as you watch it, you're like, this is so cringe or something? You were all like, please stop forever.
So embarrassed.
And somebody's called secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
But did you? I'm wondering though, is this something that younger generations are going to watch and still like be like, I enjoyed this? I actually say. Yeah, so our Gen Zers in here, anybody want to tell, did you watch it? Did you like it? And if not, go watch it and then please email me and let me know what you thought.
Yeah, let us know.
All right. Well, see, our millennials, I think it's still good for us, but we will see we'll see, to be determined for other generations. You know what?
Oh,
When
I did have a question. Has anyone seen the color version of this?
Ew.
Apparently they colorized it and they actually showed it on TV in like the 70s or something. Like I was like, what?
Really? Now,
And I was
Karen,
just
we
Was
curious
that
talked
part
what
of
it
about
Ted
was like.
Turner's thing?
we
Yeah.
talked about this for It's a Wonderful Life. Didn't we watch it in color? It was like on Prime or something when we did a. Didn't we do a movie discussion on It's a Wonderful Life?
I
You and
don't
me.
think we
Dear-
had. You
Yes,
and I
I
have.
you and me and Derek during COVID, I think might have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't
Okay.
me. I was like,
No,
Yeah, no.
Like during COVID, I think we had a little Zoom back then. It was just the three of us, and we would talk about movies or shows that came out. And didn't we talk about the colorized version or no?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, you're right.
And I
yeah.
remember it was disturbing to see in many ways. It was very alarming for me. And I wonder then. Oh, here's some good questions in here
Would it
too.
ruin it? I think it would.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, why did Captain Renault go with Rick a few hours after Rick pulled a gun on it?
romance.
It's a romance and a quarrel amongst friends. Who hasn't in a moment
No.
of heat? And it was for the woman
Like,
he loved.
I don't want to say who hasn't pulled the gun on their friend because that's not cool. But but you get into arguments and you're on different sides of things, and you can still like come together for the greater good or what have you, and decide.
Yes, when he shoots that guy, the major, and he's dead, and then Captain Renault then's like round up the usual suspects. You're like, yes, yeah, Rick got away with it,
Yeah,
and you're cheering that Rick just murdered a guy right there, and then it's the start
He
of
was
a
a Nazi.
friendship. He was a Nazi, exactly. Good question. Oh, watching color would ruin it. Oh my goodness. Oh, a little slow. Boy, you wouldn't have liked some of the movies we've seen in this. Then. Okay, we have our first Gen Z who watched it. First black and white movie I've ever seen. Awesome. Welcome to the club. A little slow. I enjoyed it. I am happy to hear that because I actually thought the movie was not slow at all. Now watching it, I was like an hour and 45 minutes. We've had some 3 hours ones. And wasn't Judgment at Nuremberg 3 hours?
Yeah, it was over 3 hours. Yeah.
Schindler's List is over 3 hours too.
Oh, that's true. Because we did it in episodes, Samantha, remember?
Yeah, both you and me did it as 3 different parts.
I think there were a lot of movies that have been over 3 hours, if I remember correctly, because you guys
There have been. I gave you a
gripe
hard
at me
time
about all
that.
of them.
Yeah, no, this one we didn't gripe about. I actually wish it would have been longer. Oh, Gone with the Wind and Oh, those
Well,
are
and
long
what's
movies,
surprising
too.
about how short it is it's based off of a play that was written by someone who was like experiencing that like first movement of refugees and everything like that. And so it didn't, because oh man, the play's name is like Everybody Comes to Rick's. And I'm like, oh.
Don't like that.
Like Casablanca, much better title.
Much better, much better. But
and plays aren't long though. Like, you know what I mean?
Plays can be really long. Yes. So happy that some of you might have watched this movie for the first time, having never seen it before. And yes, by the way, as a side note, I thought of you this week, Karen, at the All-Star game. They had on display, they had a women in baseball display, and they had her, like that there, and it reminded me of League of Their Own. And I was telling my husband, and I said something about women in baseball, and he's like, I didn't know that there were women in baseball. And I said, have you never seen a League of Their Own? And he's like, no. And I said, when I say there's no crying in baseball, he's like, I thought you just made that up. I was like, so I thought of you, and I was like, okay. So,
oh my God.
Yes, tell us about what's coming up for us.
Oh man, I just posted in the chat that we are going to have several more of these in the fall, and our theme for the fall is sports movies.
That was it. That's how
yeah, good connection here, right?
Good segue.
So we will be making flyers, and Chloe will be posting them on this site. So bookmark that and come and talk to us about these movies. The first one Let's see. I have the list here. The first one will be Friday, August 30th, where we will talk about A League of Their Own. So if you haven't seen it, wow, Heston, I like
Make him watch it with you.
Oh, I will. I
Yeah,
read that. I was like, we're gonna watch it now, like tonight.
yeah. That is that's a classic movie. Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, Lori Petty. It's great, and it is about women playing baseball during World War II. And lots of great lines, lots of really. It's funny, it's heartwarming, and we can have a great debate about the end of the movie. I have a lot to say about that. So please join us on Friday. What is it? August 30th? Is that what I said? Yeah. Friday, August 30th. I
just
closed
looked.
that.
It's in my calendar.
Yes. Okay. Friday, August 30th. 2:00 p.m. It is virtual, so check back on that site. There will be a link for you to join our discussion. All of these movies that we do discuss are available for free through the TCC library website. Swank Digital Campus is most of them, but there are some others. On there that you can also see movies. Canopy is one, Canopy with the K, and my personal favorite, which is the PBS video library, and you can see all of Ken Burns' movies. And I understand from talking to some Gen Z people that you guys don't know who Ken Burns is, and
He's
and the
coming to
movies.
Dallas soon.
Is he?
He is the keynote speaker for the Holocaust Museum for their gala that they have.
Oh my God, I'm so
I know
gonna go.
tables are very expensive, but I'm hoping that they'll do like a single ticket at some point because I'm like, or like professional development. Can we get a table for like all the history people? We would
For all the
love
history people
that.
to go talk to Ken Burns, I think that would be a good use of
Professional
money.
development.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen, you do the paperwork and I will come. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'll do the paperwork if I have to. I'll write the thing, I mean it's fine. Anyway, he makes documentaries, and he makes very, very good documentaries. And they are quite intense, extensive, long documentaries, and they are available for you to watch for free through the TCC library website, and you go down the list of databases, and it is PBS videos. And then you can just type in the search thing Ken Burns, and all of these things will come up. He's done the West, Prohibition. He has done baseball and Civil War. He has done country music. My favorite, which is our national parks, America's Best Idea.
Civil War.
The Civil War. Yeah, sure.
I grew up on that one.
He's done just so many really, really, really top of the line documentaries. So that's they're there. And so anything else that we were gonna mention here?
I will say this. If you haven't watched Casablanca, you should definitely go watch it. Even after our discussion might have spoiled some things. Really, really good movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Even knowing the end of movies.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all historians here. The three of us are all historians here. So we watch historically based movies already knowing kind of how they're going to end.
And to be honest, I'm watching House of Dragon right now, and I didn't read the books, and I don't know how it's going to end, and I keep looking up spoilers because I just can't handle not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It doesn't really take things away. It's not a suspenseful movie or anything like that. And knowing how it kind of ends gives you the freedom of your mind to enjoy the journey more because you already know what the destination is.
I love
Um,
that.
that's that's what I say to people, and they're like, why do you read the end of the book? I'm like, because I need to know.
I have anxiety, and this is how I fix that anxiety.
Like, if I
Yes.
don't know how it's going to end, then I don't enjoy it. I
No,
don't.
me either. Me either. All right. Well, thank you so much for having a robust crowd and a awesome chat going on and everything. Thank you all for being here.
And
Mhm.
please
I
think
enjoyed
about
this.
joining us for A League of Their Own
Yeah.
in fall. Um, a lot
Okay.
of professors will give you extra credit if you go to these
Yes.
things.
And
So
please fill out that form if you are here. And if you're
yeah,
in my class, remember to put in your
posted the
little blurb.
form. I will post it again here for you guys to fill out